Hello, everyone, and welcome to On the Move, a show where we share transportation sales and marketing success stories. I'm Jennifer Carpus Romaine, Executive Director of the Transportation Marketing and Sales Association, which is a trade nonprofit educating and connecting marketing and sales professionals inside transportation and logistics. And today on the show, I'm super excited. We have Kameel Gaines. She is founder and chief AI marketing and growth strategist at Atlas AI Growth and Marketing Agency. She's also the CEO of Wig on Wheels. Welcome to the show, Kameel. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. I had to remember that I was about to be popping on because whoever made your intro, I was like, okay, okay.
Yes. I love the intro. I also dance, and I'm glad that they can't see us while that goes on.
Yes.
So excited to have you here today. And I think that I want to start because most people will know you from Rig on Wheels. And
Yes.
so now you've launched Atlas AI Growth and Marketing Agency. Let's talk about that. What led you to make that move? What pulled you into the next chapter? And obviously you still have that. So like, how are you doing it all, ma'am?
Okay. Well, listen, let me tell you something. Can't do it all. Can't do it all. But yes, first, we still have rig on wheels, but we do a lot of things on project basis. Okay. So a lot of things are done on project basis with the third party recruitment agency. And a lot more work is going into Atlas AI growth and marketing agency. So that's where that is going there. So when we talk about why I started that, why I launched that, that is a very good question. And I get that so much. Okay. So let's start with this story here. But no, I know, right? Juicy, juicy, juicy. But been doing this now in the trenches with Rig on Wheels for a little over 16 years, right? And when I say in the trenches, like literally and on the phone, in person, and going to the yard. So in my boots, because you know it's mud. And sometimes when it's dark outside, and anybody that knows me knows I do not drive very well at night. Okay. So literally in the trenches. But with saying that, I started noticing, we're just spending all of this money on leads, and companies are really spending their last on leads, and it's not going anywhere. Okay. Everybody's competing over the same drivers or the same clients. If we're talking about my clients that are service based clients in the logistics industry that are not trying to compete for the drivers, and it's not helping, right? And then I said, we have a problem. And so at the same time, I was doing the Rig on Wheel show. So folk knew that I'm doing marketing and dealing with AI and all of that there. So clients start coming to me in that aspect, some different clients and some of my same regular clients, and said, can you help me out in that basis? And so I started doing that, and I said, okay, yes, Atlas AI will always be connected to Rig on Wheels, obviously, because it's going to be part of the transportation, trucking, and logistics space. But I do separate it a little bit and give it its own name. So that's where Atlas AI Marketing and Growth Agency came from.
I love that. And how has your perspective on marketing and growth kind of evolved through all of your years in the industry?
So at first, when you think of marketing, you think of just more, more, more. I did too. Oh my God, let's do more. More. Let's add and divide. Let's do all this math. I'm the math person. Let's get out my calculator. You know how I always say it. Remember, you know this. The calculator is my favorite app on my iPhone, and all of that type of stuff. And it might still be my favorite app. But as going through this journey, with myself over the last few years, and I always beta my own products on our company. Okay. So we are our own crash dummy first, and then we go from there. Now, not always politically correct, but it's the truth. Okay. So
Mhm.
that to go from there, then have other case studies, going forward. But the biggest thing that I noticed is alignment, decision, clarity. That is where my perspective changed. The decision clarity based on having systems for my clients, and not just having the systems, but for them to actually know how to work the systems and what system stacks made sense. Because when I would go in, I would notice some clients, especially my SaaS clients, they had stacks, they're tech clients.
Sure.
But it didn't make sense. And they would just adding stuff all together and piecing stuff together, especially in our industry. We are good at piecing databases together. We piece everything together. But it was taken away from their bottom line versus giving to their bottom line. They had systems, but their systems didn't connect. So it was no way for all of these AIs to make any sense. So there was no clarity in these systems. So that's what I realized. Their marketing, yeah, we need matrix, and the calculator is still my best friend, but it comes way after. It's not in the beginning. It's not part of your 10x, my Grant Cardone sales, pitch or whatever. It is not part of that. Yeah, you still want to 10x, but you want to 10x your energy. You don't want to 10x your marketing. That's what it's about.
And when did you really start to notice that something was shifting in how companies then were being found? So you talked about like leads and all that stuff. You can't just throw everything at it, but companies are being found differently. They're being understood differently. They're evaluated by buyers differently. When did you realize, oh, this is a big change and we have to do something about it?
Okay, so in marketing, we got two different things. In the beginning, we're going to call it an old school. And old school was 3 years ago.
Sure.
So old school 3 years ago, your son was what?
6.
5?
Yeah, he just turned 9.
Oh, so cute. So it was the year before I became an abuela. So I was a young whippersnapper then. And and so back then it was do more eyes that were seen on whatever your service or your product was. You're going to get more calls. Let's go for it. Let's do it. They're going to assume that you are the better whatever it is. Also, if you are the better, you'll continue to get those calls. That's not the truth anymore. The buyer is different. They're educated. And it's not just because of age. People assume because we have young whippersnappers out here that that's the reason why. I'm telling you, it's not a generational thing. So throw that marketing book from when I have one of my degrees in marketing. It was the truth up until your son was 4 and 5 years old. That was true. Now it's not true anymore. The concept is still true, but it's not true anymore. So now what is true is, yes, they still need to be seen. That is true. However, the buyer wants answers. They need clarity. So that is what they're looking for. And if you're not there to answer their questions when they search for you, you're losing.
Absolutely.
And you won't be there to be recommended. So what's happening is, if you're a company, you are a plumbing company, Jennifer, congratulations.
Thank you.
I gave it to you. So it's Jennifer Plumbing Company, right? You don't have like all these great reviews or anything like that. That's not what it's about. But you're there to answer all of these questions on Gemini. For me, I don't know anything about a toilet, and that's the truth. It's certain things I do know, but not about a toilet, other than, before you flush, you put down the seat. Okay.
Sure. That's important.
That's very important for people that don't know, on the podcast.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Like,
yeah, I want to let them know. So that is what you do. But because of that, I'm really not looking at your reviews. Sometimes I do, only because I remember maybe I want to look at a review for a certain thing, just for a certain thing, but not about the toilets. I wouldn't do that. It would be something I'm already educated in. I'm not educated in toilets, so I wouldn't look at it, right? However, because I'm not educated in toilets, I'm trying to get some education in it because I'm an educated buyer. And I'm going to go along with the person that's educating me. Then I go back and look at Google and call the number.
Mm-hmm.
That is how things are changing. Now, mind you, you can come and fix my toilet and it falls through the floor.
Well,
But I'm considered an educated buyer now.
right. I definitely think that I agree. I think there's been a huge shift of people wanting to learn themselves and have an understanding of what they're doing or what they're buying for, or who they're working with. I think that's a huge shift. And then when they're going to actually make those decisions, they're so much farther down. And even in TMSA, like that's when I have our partner members come in. I let them know, like, hey, if you come in and you're just hard selling our members, they're not going to want to work with you. They want to build relationships. They want to know that you're educated on the topic that you say they are. They want to know that you have experience in transportation and logistics. They want to know how, your thoughts on A, B, and C. And if you're just here hard selling, then they don't have a good experience and they don't trust you as much. It is becoming a authority on a topic. And that's something that you've talked about too, is that it's not that companies are having a visibility problem right now. It's an authority problem.
Yeah.
And so do you want to explain more about what that means?
Yeah. So the one that clarifies something, visibility. Okay. So let's start from the top. Visibility is through a search. It's SEO basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the part you want me to explain?
Yeah. And so so you can be really visible and you can be a bunch of places, but if you're not in the places that your buyers are, that's a huge miss. And then two, your competitors can also be in the same places and be just as visible. So how do you become the authority, that person that's showcasing that thought leadership, that experience, so that they then want to choose you in the end?
Right. So a few days ago, I did put this on my page about SEO. SEO is not dead. We still need SEO because remember, I found your number after your authority, or it could have been before. Either way, especially with Gemini, it could be either or, right? So I found your number through the SEO channels, the local SEO channels. So that is a form of authority as well. We consider that old school authority. It's still important, still needed, still very important. But who else is there? Your competitors are there, just like you said. So we need to be mindful of that. So when somebody is only looking at that, unless they're specifically knowing they're going there for Jennifer's Plumbing, they're also looking at reviews. And now they're comparing you against the reviews. They're going to compare 4.5 to 4.7. When really that's the same reviews. That's really no difference, right? But now you're going into that. Versus where we talk about authority is clarity. Clarity is somebody they need clarity on something. They want to understand what it is. So I need to know what could possibly be going on with this toilet. It stopped up. I've been using the plunger and I have a good plunger that I went to Lowe's to go get, right? So I didn't go to Walmart, I didn't go to Target or anything like that. I went to Lowe's and got a $40 plunger because I'm assuming that's a better plunger for whatever the reason is. Somebody might have told me, I got whatever. So I have a really good plunger and it's worked before, but this is not working. So I'm on my computer or my laptop and I'm thinking I'm Googling, right? but really I'm on Gemini's AI, right? And it's considered AEO, right? It's answering, and it's giving me answers, and that's authority and that's clarity right there. And so I'm finding out some of the reasons is because something can be stuck. I did say I didn't know stuff, but I do know this because I got a grandson, and hopefully he doesn't do this again. But a toy could be stuck in the nozzle or whatever it's called, the nozzle, the thingamajig, and it can't get past with the plunger. So you're going to need a plumber to come out because toilets don't just get stopped up for no reason. So you're going to need somebody to come out with something else, and you can't put Drano in there to drain it out because that's not going to work either. So who gave me this information was Jennifer's company. So now I'm going to get Jennifer's company's information. And Jennifer's company information is going to come from search. And that was the SEO. So I'm going to intentionally go back and get the SEO information. Or for lay terms, the search information, which is on the local Google, because Jennifer is in my area. So that's where the authority comes from.
Yeah, I think that's so important because at the end of the day, then who are you going to trust to do the work? The people who are already identifying your problem or what your solutions can be or how we can work together before you then even decide who you're doing it. It's that same concept of like why we go to conferences and speak and why we do that. It's a thought leadership piece of engagement of in marketing. So I think that's hugely important. And then to maximize that for your companies and for your business, that will help start to differentiate you from your competitors, because if your answers are the ones that are popping up, hugely important.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. And this scenario that I gave is maybe not with the plumber, but with other things is exactly what I do. Because I moved into a house now. It's a wonderful house. It has great bones-ish. I do live in Houston, so nothing has great bones because I come from Chicago and every house has great bones, including the shack. So I'm in Houston, Texas, and nothing has great bones, but it does have great bones, but it does need some tender love and care. So I don't really know how to do anything other than, cook, clean. I know how to do domestic stuff, those type of things. So I need help. And my mother knows how to do everything, but my mother's 84. I can't really expect her anymore to get on the ladder.
So I'm really excited to have you at Elevate this year. You are actually one of the finalists for our technology showdown. So in case listeners don't know, at Elevate this year, which is June 7th through 9th in Denver, we are having an opening keynote that has 4 finalists, and Kameel is one of them, that will be talking about real technology solutions that you can integrate into your businesses now. Like, it's not, oh, this is in theory something that you could do or just a promotional pitch for vendors. No, this is real action, real things that are happening right now that people can take and go. And the audience will get to vote live on who our tech mic drop winner will be of those finalists. So I'm really, really excited about this overall, and so excited that you are one of the finalists. You've been in and around TMSA for a couple of years now, but what drew you to want to be a part of the AI and Tech Showdown?
Well, first of all, TMSA is family. So let's start there. Everybody knows how I feel about TMSA, including other organizations that I might be a part of, because, when you know. But first of all, if TMSA is family and we're going to do a showdown, and, I live in Houston now, whom else would I do my first showdown with? TMSA, right? And when I saw that it's a part of AI and that is close to my heart and everything. And I know that we in our transportation, trucking, and logistics sectors, we need help in that. A lot of other sectors out there, industries out there, they are well beyond where we are, and I want to really help us because I know that we are drowning in it, and it's not later, because the companies later will already have the visibility and we'll be trying to catch up. So it's right now that it needs to be done. And so it hurts my heart every time I hear somebody saying, well, maybe I'll do that later. And I hear that so often. And I get frightened about that, because I know that that means that their company won't be here later. That's a fact. So with saying that, that is one of the main two reasons, to be 100% honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. I mean, yes, we hear the push. Oh, we don't have the budget for this. We can't invest in this right now for marketing and sales and professional development all the time. That's where we live and breathe at TMSA. So, I agree. I think these are things that we need to invest in now so that we're still here later. And so excited to have you here at TMSA to
Well,
do
can I
that.
say what Whitney said? Because
Sure.
Whitney said something that was the best. She did the best mic drop. But basically, where else would you be is if everyone that is going to be there, and especially everyone that is going to be speaking, whether it's keynote or all of our other specialized speakers that have been selected, are eat and breathe 100% transportation, trucking, and logistics. That's
Mhm,
all we do 100%. It's not a side hustle for us, it's what we do 100%.
mhm,
That is our niche, is what we do. So whether some people are contractors, some people are self-employed or entrepreneurs, however you want to classify that, and then some people are W-2, but it's 100% our full-time job.
mhm.
You are not going to find that anywhere, because I do get other marketers that want to collab and all of that. And when I look at their work, it's not that their work is not good. However, I'm able to know that they have no idea about our industry. And if their client is trying to attract clients, it can't work.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of why we're doing the keynote the way we are this year is because, in the past we would have that more traditional keynote speaker, but we wanted to give more space to our industry experts, our thought leaders, give real solutions for the audience to be able to take with them. So, without giving away your full rundown of what you're going to be doing in your part of the keynote, I do want to know what's one misconceptions companies still have about how they're showing up in search or in an AI driven environment.
I said part of it earlier, but some companies feel that SEO is dead. That's the ones that's going to strictly to AI.
Mhm,
Can't do that. They want to have their hands off of everything. They just want straight AI. Can't do that because we need human touch. Or ones that feel that AI is not needed. You don't need that for clarity. You don't need that for authority. And all three, those are myths,
mhm.
or just spank naughty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the marketing and sales leaders that are listening right now, what would be an early signal that something might be off in how they're positioning their
Mm.
company?
We have heard this since the beginning of time. Okay. These leads are bad,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? Okay. That's a positioning issue. You have leads that are coming in that are not for your company. They are for the company up the street or down the road or a few clicks right up the street. Or you have your client is looking at your website and they still don't know what you do, or they looking at your content and they ain't got a hill of beans. They have no idea of what's going on. Those are 3 red flags right there. They don't have a clue. So that's it.
I think that's so important. I think a lot of times it's sitting through and like allowing your marketing team to sit with your sales team and hear how they pitch. And so that way they're able to create messaging that matches, create the verbiage on the website that matches, all of that. I also think that I still see this. People will be like, oh, we were founded in 1925. And it's like, that's for an About Us page. That's not for a home page. Like, people want to know what you can do for them. They don't care about how long you've been in business. Not that they want to like necessarily go into business with you if you've only been in business for like a month, but like that's stuff that you identify later on down the road. Or people want to learn more about your company values. There's a space to be had for that type of stuff on your website, but it's not that first lead in. It's not that first paragraph. It's really, and from your point, like SEO, you don't want them picking up the year or thinking that's what's most important. You want to be picking up what you can do for your customers and your prospects.
You definitely don't want the 1925 picked up as a search. That could be misconstrued in a very negative way for Google. So you need to be careful.
And so really thinking through like how easy is it, how you were talking about earlier, like, okay, so we know that the AI component of this is answering, letting those people have those answers. But at the end of all of that, then they're still going to be looking for a phone number or a form or something to contact you to do the actual business. How easy is it for them to find that on your website or in your wherever you're sending them to, your landing page, your website, whatever it is? Some people bury it. And so
it shouldn't be buried. That should not be buried. You don't want them buried.
You know, that is the goal, is to get them to contact you. And so really thinking through that is making sure it's understood what people should do once they get to your website as well.
Yeah, you want them to know what to do. You don't want anything left up for assumption. And then another thing I tell my clients when it comes to Google or something like that, perception is reality. So just think about it like that. Google is there to perceive stuff. So your case on that 1925, they're not a human, so they're not reading it as a human. So they're seeing 1925 on a home page, not an About Us page. That's an About Us thing. So what is it that you're telling it on a home page? Look and see what should belong on this home page versus 1925. And what do you think it's perceiving that 1925 is? And when they say, oh my goodness, exactly.
So. Yep. And so how do you think that leaders could really be thinking differently? Like, I know we covered some of it, but is there anything that we missed on how leaders should be thinking differently about how they're approaching their go-to-market strategy or their messaging besides this kind? I feel like we put all of the pieces out there, but how do they put that holistically together to make it more of a structural shift?
I think it's structured, but unstructured. When I say this, you have to be open-minded when it comes to AI, because even though AI has been around this isn't new, it's just more new to the lay person. That means they have to be open-minded. Now, SEO is structured because it's been around so long that the lay person understands it. Even if they don't know what SEO is, they understand search. Okay, so they associate more authority with search, right? They don't associate AI with authority. So right now they have to be open-minded. So that's what I want the company owners and decision makers to do, is you have to be open-minded. There's nothing else to say or to talk. You have to be open-minded. Being closed-minded will close your doors, and has already started to do that.
Yeah. It really has. Do you think that that's kind of where leaders might be underestimating what's happening right now? Is
I
that,
know.
oh, we can push that off for a couple of years. We don't have the budget for this. We can't do this right now. Is that where we're underestimating the power of utilizing these technologies and really being able to push what we're doing forward?
Let me tell you something. Some people don't have the budget for their gas bill, but it's still
There,
cold in Ohio.
it's yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it does. I agree. I think you have to find the time, and sometimes like what I'll advise people who do have smaller budgets, sometimes it's not about the actual money, but finding the time or the technology you can use. I don't ever recommend going out there getting the highest priced item and hoping
No.
best. You have to, of course, you have to prove the ROI and the capabilities. And even with that, like when you're evaluating tech, make sure that the tier you can afford is the tier that has the things that you need on it. Because, sometimes people will be like, oh, I need this solution, this can do it. And you find out that's that highest price point and you can't afford that. And so then, yeah.
And a lot of times you don't need all of that yet.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal is to need it.
Yes.
Right? That might be your goal to need that. So with saying that, that's the reason why I say, let's look at your stack that you have versus the stack that you need.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's look at what you have now that we can swap out certain things.
Mm-hmm.
If we use this, then you don't need these three things.
Yes.
Things like that. And then as time goes on, there are going to be some AI systems that you don't need anymore because things change so rapidly.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say too. Like technology now is integrating those AI capabilities. Everything is having different functionalities. More platforms are trying to do more than just one thing. And so I do think regular tech stack evaluations and really saying, okay, yes, like you said, if we're using this over here, we might not need this stuff over here, but we don't know that unless if we're looking and maximizing each of the pieces we already have.
And then something else, another tidbit for a micro business, not necessarily a small business because that's relative, but for a micro business like a kitchen table business, a counter, micro business, don't pay for the year for subscriptions. Pay monthly, because you will be so surprised, especially in the AI world. You'll use something for 3 months and you'll buy about 3 different things, and it really inexpensive. You'll have something for $20, something for $50, and something for $15. And then in 5 months, you'll have 2 things to replace all of that, and one will be $20 and one will be $15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I'll come in and say, okay, now let's replace those. Let's audit. Let's do an AI audit.
Yeah, and I think it forces, like I always tell people too, like don't just do a yearly plan. Like I like to do quarterly plans and strategies. Like, of course, you can have your year-long goals or whatever, but if you're only checking in with things once a year, you're missing so much.
You're missing so much.
And so I like to be forced to do that stuff quarterly, because then you're having those regular check-ins, you're looking at the price points. And so with something like that, like, yeah, if you're paying a yearly subscription, you might not look at it again for a year because you don't have to. But if it's monthly or quarterly, you're paying more of like, okay, this money's coming out right now. What does this mean and how are we utilizing it?
Right. The only way I would pay for it for a year, and I had to learn that, but the only way I would pay for something for a year is if it's $1, $5, or $10 per month. Other than that, in this AI world, don't do it. Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Like I said, so excited to have you as one of our keynote finalists for Elevate, which is June 7th through 9th in Denver. You can get more information about the keynote and about Elevate itself at events.tmsatoday.org. I have one last question for you. So you have been on the show before. So this is the second question that I ask people when they come back. So if you could go back in time and relive one day of your life, you don't get to make any changes to it. That's the big stipulation. But you could just go relive the day. What day would you go back to and why?
When I realized that Atlas AI Marketing and Growth Association was not just to make money, it was legacy is my word now. And it has been my word since Makai was born. I have 2 grandkids now, but since Makai was born January 11th of 2024, and I'll be able to leave it to my 2 nietos, that's when I realized I'll be able to leave a legacy. I'll be able to leave something, systems, and that's important for me. So everything I do in relation to this business, the clients that I take on, and all of that, the reputation that I have through the business is very important. Things that I personally post on social media because of the relationship that it's going to give me through Atlas AI is important because I want to leave the legacy for my nietos.
I love that. I do think legacy is important. And, we all have one life to live. And what do we want to be remembered for and remembered by? And how are we spending our time while we're here? All heavy, important things. So great to think about.
Everybody know how I feel about my nietos.
I sure do. They are adorable.
Yeah, I want to FaceTime them when I get off of here.
Okay, well, good. Not waste any of your time. Won't take any more of your time. But so excited to see you in Denver. And yeah, you can join me and Kameel at Elevate June 7th through 9th in Denver, and we will catch you there. And thank you for coming on the show.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Jen.